You know what a red circle on a roof means?
Danger.
Or we're going to cut a hole in our roof and see if it leaks. Welcome back to Miller's Motion. Today we're on the roof. What are we doing on the roof?
Gonna put a hole in our house.
Join us!
I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go!
Alright, in all seriousness, we actually are going to put a hole right where that little red mark is. But it's for a really good reason, and Lauren's got it sitting right there.
Ta-da!
It's a pizza maker. So that is the Parsecs Husky 7-in-1 MIMO antenna. It's a lot of fancy words for good cellular data coverage.
I get to play on the internet.
So today we are installing our new internet solution from Mobile Must Have. Here in a little bit I'll talk about what we did, why we did it, some of our cellular plan options that we did to do it, and the equipment. But right now we're going to do the most daunting task, because we did a lot of it off camera because it makes me nervous and Lauren very nervous. But we're going to put a hole right there. So wish me luck in Lauren's anxiety at luck. All right, so just to catch you up real quick before we talk about the equipment, this is probably the task that is the most daunting for anybody that's looking to do this. I would probably tell you, if you're unsure in any capacity, just pay someone to do it. We're a little cheap, I'm a little cheap, and quite frankly it was a little expensive to do it for us, so I decided to do it.
We also have some knowledge of construction tools, home repair, so we're not inept.
Completely, at least. No, it's contrary to everything we've done and said up to this point, but so in our rig behind the TV, there's what I'm calling the void area. So there's a section between where the shower and cabinetry starts and where our TV is. That's literally just an open void. It goes all the way to the basement storage and then all the way up to the roof. So that's where we're installing this hole. There's actually 2 holes already in the roof access point where they ran electrical down. So our goal is to get close to it so I don't have to drill 2 holes, just one. But in doing that, we took all the right measurements, we hope. Everything. That's why Lauren's involved. Normally she wouldn't get involved on something like this, but I wanted someone with better math skills than mine. So we marked a position that we want to drill into with a little bit of leniency here. Hopefully there's not an air duct right there. And what I'm starting with, so this is our hole dozer by Milwaukee, but that's going to actually cut the hole. But first I'm going to drill a little bit of a pilot just to help guide this down right in the spot we want. So may the power of Christ compel us. And we don't break stuff. All right, point of no return. You sure you want me to do this?
No.
Is that terrifying?
Yes.
Oh, that moves.
Told you.
It's done, I did it, there's a hole. Okay, that's it. I'm done. All right, that's the least terrifying section of it.
Mm-hmm. When you're on the roof and you don't have scissors and you can't open the package, this is what you do. Done.
Oh, this makes me so nervous. All right, commit to it. You ready? 1, 2.
Okay, we're in. It's part of our house. Right here.
All right, so adapt, and as you are supposed to in the RV side. All right, let me just see the camera real quick. So this isn't the prettiest looking thing in the world, but ultimately it's going to get covered up by a lot of, it's going to get covered up by the bottom of that. And I've got sealant, die-core that we're going to put on the outside, plus another sealant that we're going to put around this area too. So around this area too. So we're going to double up a lot. But when I started drilling, this hole, there was one of our beams and rafters. So we realized it, we stopped, and we brought it a little bit further back this way. This is just that insulation, so that's going to get pushed aside. And there is actually another hole already in there, right behind it, kind of back in here. So next what we're going to do is get some of these shavings and stuff out of here. We're going to go ahead and thread the line down before we actually adhere this down. And I'm going to set it down. I'm going to go down there and make sure it's where we want it, because we can still patch this. We just don't want to if we can help it. So, yeah, that's next. All right, well, hypothetically, it's in the hole I want to go, and that fits good. So this is actually a pretty good position. Really happy with it, center of the rig. But I do got to make sure that those cables actually came out where I thought they were going to come out. So Lauren's going to stay up here. I'm going to run down real fast and check that. So I'm probably going to switch over to my cell phone footage, because I also got to grab some stuff to come back up to clean this mess up with. So see you downstairs. All right, so I was talking about before the area called the void. So behind this TV and behind this cabinet is that void I was talking about. So this portion already exists. And as you can see, they literally fell. That's the end of the cable in the perfect place. And then that's the parsecs. I'm sorry. And this is our router. So literally everything fell perfectly, which is awesome. Now we just have to clean up top, die core it, and plug everything in. That's it. So like I showed you downstairs on my phone, it literally practically landed right on top of the router. So measuring 37 different times and freaking out about it paid off.
Hey, I'm going to stop right quick. You're welcome.
So now we have to clean the roof area up that we want this to adhere to. So just good old mineral spirits up here. So we're going to clean that real quick. Oops, that got excessive.
Super clean.
Well, that's depressing. We've owned this RV for like 5 minutes. And it's filthy. I'm just spreading dirt around now.
And we washed it. Took it to Blue Beacon.
So, and I'm going to do that just to dry it so that we can go ahead and hear this, except that's very saturated now.
And aromatic.
Say aromatic. Just want to make sure we don't get a good grip here. So right out of the gates, my biggest concern obviously is going to be water, just like every other RVer on the planet. So we're going to do a little extra. They say you are perfectly fine. Does it?
Welcome to the world of YouTube.
It's amazing how quickly roofs get dirty. So, okay, so this is the step that no one recommended, but I'm going to do anyway. So this is just some standard sealant. It's not silicone. It's that, I don't remember what it's called. There we go.
This isn't the lap sealant, is that what it is?
Flexible, all-purpose, waterproof sealant adheres to wet surfaces.
But non-silicone.
Clearer than silicone.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do this part, but I'm doing this part. So this is my extra step. So now for the fun part, I guess that can't sit there, to peel off the 3M sticky. So this stuff is like the industrial grade. It comes pre-installed on this. Oh, shit.
You got a little, well, and you got a little piece still on there.
And when this stuff is down, it's down. I mean, like even this middle section, I'm having a hard time getting up. All right, so now we got a little seal it around there. Again, I don't think that's necessary, but we're gonna do it because we're paranoid. I'm gonna try and get it in that hole right there. Then I did actually read the instruction manual, which is a rare thing. Mm-hmm. They say just make firm pressure for about 30 seconds. So I'm going to just camp out like this for a minute.
FYI, that applies to command strips too. They work better if you apply that pressure for about 30 seconds before you release them, before you hang anything on them.
And I can tell you right now, I've never done it on a command strip that way.
I have.
She's a rule follower. Now, I will say on the thing on the roof that I don't want to fly off, I'm absolutely going to do it. So, and then when we're done with this, we're going to open up the die core and we're going to put a bead right around the outside of this too. And then that takes, do you remember what it was? I think it takes about 30 minutes to get a film, 4 hours for it to be waterproof, and then it levels over the course of 30 days. So, and we are traveling in a few, so we're trying to get this done. Also, if it seems like we're wearing similar things in our videos, it's because we've shot like 3 videos in 2 days. Oh, all right. FYI, if you're not used to being in this position, this hurts your knees after a little while. So we're going to go very liberal with this. I intend on using most of the tube.
Oh, fun facts for Lauren. Okay.
Well, because the worst thing that happens is it seals better. I will also tell you this is coming out much easier than the other stuff. This is how I feel right now, except more like a beached whale. Yeah, it doesn't hurt having that view. So, as far as up here on the roof, I'm very happy to say we're done with that. This is stressful if you're doing it yourself, if you're nervous. I mean, some people aren't as nervous about it, and that's fine. We have a lot of experience doing these types of things at the house, but it still makes you nervous because you want to make sure you do it right and don't harm your investment. So, I think it's on there as good as we could do it.
I agree.
Essentially. So that's going to wrap it up from the roof. We're going to pick it up another day when we're not starving and that pretty sunset's not happening. And we will catch up with you, and I'll go over the router and all the other information on what we did and how we did it and some of the resources from Mobile Bus Out. So.
And Mom, we're going to be safe getting down. I
Yep.
promise.
Bye-bye. Go away.
Say bye.
Well, as you can tell, it's later. It's actually weeks later since we installed the antenna. I wanted to kind of come back mainly because I wanted to make sure that everything worked properly. And I can tell you that everything from the install worked absolutely amazing. But I very quickly also wanted to go over the router as well as the cell plans that we're using to produce the internet that we're talking about this whole time. So, up on the roof, we talked about the void that's directly behind this TV. So, if you look here, behind our control panel, this is just storage. That's like the little box. It goes back about, 8 inches, 10 inches, something like that. Behind here, we have about 6 to 8 inches of just nothing. So that goes all the way into our attic storage, and it all goes all the way down to our basement. The good thing about that is, remember how I said I got those holes up there and I could feed everything down and through? Perfectly good. Now, the intent of that is this area here, my JBL speaker. Sorry, Bailey. The intent here is this is a depth area here where it's meant for like entertainment storage, that kind of stuff. This is our control. This is our control for our Rockford Fosgate sound system that is not very good. And then this side's the same thing. We use this side we have our Nintendo Switch in there. That's my little guilty pleasure. I like to kind of turn my brain off. I'll play a little baseball, a little golf, something like that. So that's in there. And then in here is where we're going to install the router. So let's talk about the router. All right, this is the part I'm excited about. And I am looking right here because my computer's right here and it has everything. So let's first start with where we bought all of this stuff. That is going to be Mobile Must Have. We did not partner with them. We paid for absolutely everything. And I will tell you right now, I will do it again, and I will do it every time. Unless they want to sponsor something. Then I'll do it again that way. Everybody there has been phenomenal. They were unaware we were shooting a video in the process. Is it cheap? No. Is it worth it if you need very solid internet? Yes, in my opinion. So, what did we personally buy? We bought the Ultimate Road Warrior VR2 edition. Now, we ordered it prior to the router we actually got being released. So we have the brand new Pepwave Max Transit Pro dual modem, which is a Cat 7 and a Cat 12 LTE-A router. That's really, really fancy for saying 4 SIM card slots, 2 official modems, so we can actually use Speed Fusion and run 2 things at the same time. What's Speed Fusion? It's a fancy pants way of essentially saying they're trying to make the internet as solid as they possibly can. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. Mobile Must Have actually offers, as a third party, they offer cellular data plans. Now, all of this is at the time that I am talking to you right now, which is, so all of this is as of today, May 2nd, 2022. Will these plans change in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Will they add more? Maybe, maybe not. I have absolutely no idea. So, they currently have 2 plans. The Verizon plan, they're calling the R300 because they can't promote it as Verizon, is 300 gigs, and it's $150 a month. The other plan is the P800, and it is 800 gigs and $150 a month. What's the difference? The R300, the 300 gig, is on the Verizon network, and the P800 is on the T-Mobile network. T-Mobile is a little bit smaller in this game, and so they got a little bit more of a bump up as far as their usage. Also, there's not really any throttling or anything in there. There might be way down the road, but for now there's not. I also did learn that through them that there is throttling at a certain point on the Verizon plan, but if they told me I don't remember, I'm sorry. So, why is that important? So what we can now do with our multiple in, multiple out parsecs antenna that we have so pleasantly put on the roof and drilled multiple holes in and almost took a rafter out and all of the things you just saw, it essentially means we can run 2 SIM cards. We can actually run 4, but we only have 2. And we can tap into 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi as well as 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. What's the difference? The 5 is a much faster signal, but is a much faster connection, but the signal doesn't go as far. The 2.4, a little bit slower of a connection, but it goes much, much further. Now, what's the big issue with campground Wi-Fi and all that working? All of this stuff is only as good as the bandwidth you're getting in. So you can have full bars, you can have the best signal in the world 15 feet from the router, or the wireless router the campground has, and get absolutely awful download speeds. It is all dependent on A, the connection the campground has with the router itself, so what service are they on, and then 2, how many users are actively using it at that time. So if everybody in the campground is streaming Netflix and has their cell phone on it, speeds probably are not going to be very good. So we don't rely on campground Wi-Fi. Let's talk about cellular. We do rely on cellular. We have currently 2 plans that we run. If you need this to work, I highly recommend going with 2 plans. Now, we are cheating a little bit here. I have a business AT&T Unlimited plan that I use for work, essentially, and that I can't technically stream on it, and you do have to have a EIN number for that to function and work. So I have that. I can't stream on it, but I can get all of my office stuff done, and we can upload some of these videos. The dogs are weirded out while I'm recording. They're going to be okay. So we have that card in there. Also, we did purchase through Mobile Must Have the P800, which is the T-Mobile 800 gig plan. I have a feeling we're fine at that. So we are paying them $150 a month for our internet service. That's our second plan. AT&T and T-Mobile operate on different kind of networks, and so that gives us a little bit of redundancy as far as that. Let's talk about speed. I'm going to talk about speed here as well as when we were in New Braunfels at the Switch It Up Texas Huddle. I know this is super talky straight through. I'm really, really sorry, but I promise it's all very, very worth it. So when we left here, our Wi-Fi is actually pretty solid here. It's not great, but it's pretty solid. We went down there. We were really far away from any router. Todd and Sheila at Switch It Up mentioned that their Wi-Fi was amazing. So I think they might have been a lot closer to the Wi-Fi.
That was the same router, same wireless router we were trying to tap into, and we were a solid 1,500 yards away from that. So we weren't getting the best connection in the world, and I found it a little bit slow. It was better than most, but still a little slow. So we ran off of our T-Mobile plan for the duration of there. During off-peak times, like middle of the day, that kind of stuff, if we went to go check, I kind of been checking periodically, we were getting up to 180 to 190 megabytes download and about 25 to 32 megabytes upload. Why is the upload important? We make YouTube videos. That upload gets important. Now, the AT&T was a little bit slower down there. The AT&T as a whole was somewhere around 120 megabytes down and maybe about 18 to 22, 23 megabytes up. My computer went dark. So what does that mean for you? All this means is that the one works better than the other. Now, where we're currently sitting outside of Fort Worth, Texas, T-Mobile is only getting about 30 download, and AT&T is getting closer to 50 download. So AT&T is a little bit stronger here, but T-Mobile was stronger there. Hence why you're starting to see, I'm saying, get 2 SIM cards. What does this system mean for me? Well, the biggest thing for us, because we are full-timing and we're going to be traveling a lot, is we produce our own Wi-Fi signal. So we have a Wi-Fi signal. It's just Miller's in motion. It's encrypted, password protected, all those things. And so it puts a layer of protection between us and the actual network. How do I connect to the internet? I log into the backside of the router. I find the Wi-Fi I want to be connected to, or I prioritize which of the SIM cards I want actively using at that point, and it does its magic. I will tell you that if you specifically want to use one thing, put it in there. Mobile Must Have does a fantastic job of telling you what settings to change depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, literally, YouTube videos, tutorials on their website, well, step by step. I mean, they make it as simple as you can possibly make a very complicated thing. And speaking of simple, we will link all of their information down below so that if you are curious, so we will link all of their information down below so that it'll take you to their website and you can see all the resources that I use to essentially set up our system. That's as short and as quick as I can make internet. I will tell you that it is fairly complicated. I have a pretty good working knowledge of how internet routers and all that stuff work. So it's not something that I felt like was above my capacity. The only thing that made me nervous, and it should make you nervous, is putting that hole in the roof. Water intrusion is a massive issue in this RV, and as you'll see in upcoming videos, we're dealing with it. But this internet setup, as we drove down the road, actually stayed connected and allowed Lauren to work while we were in transit, while she was in the cab of the truck. Also, it worked phenomenally well out on the road. And once we got parked, we didn't have to do anything. That's the beauty of this system. You don't necessarily have to change your Wi-Fi on your phone, your computer, your Apple TVs, your Rokus, your Fire Sticks, any of that stuff. You have the same Wi-Fi. All you have to do when you get to a campground is if you don't want to use the cellular, you want to use their Wi-Fi, you log into your router, you go into the back side of it, and then you just you log into what you want to log in, and it does its thing. I think the biggest benefit of the PepWave Max Transit Dual, the Max Transit Pro Dual, is that it just works. This is a very technical thing it's doing. That thing just does its job. That's all I will ever ask it to do. That's a lot. One last little quick topic. I know this is just me talking directly to you, and I'm sorry, but let's talk a little bit about Starlink. We have a lot of friends out there on the road, and I will link to some of their videos, specifically maybe Venturesome Couple. They have the new Starlink 2.0 system, and to my understanding, the roaming has been turned off. Now, can you get amazing download speeds from pretty much anywhere with it? I think so. I really do think so. Is it simple to use? It seems like it. Like I said, I'll link Chris and Martha's video, Venturesome Couple, in the show notes below or in the description below, and check it out.
I don't own one. I can tell you that not from them, but from someone else that doesn't have a YouTube channel that has that same system. They said they were in a heavily treed area and they had a big old problem trying to get a connection. Now you can permanently mount. You still have to take the router off when you're, or the antenna off when you're driving, but you can have a pole in the back. You can stick it up there, or you can just use the other one and stick it wherever, as long as you have enough cord. For me, it's the same issue with DirecTV versus cable internet or satellite. You still have to have direct line of sight. So if you're in a heavily treed park, is it going to work? I'm not so sure. So for Lauren and I, at the moment at least, doing this system was the right decision still. Do I think Starlink is ready to 100% go for RVers? I really don't. Do I think that if you're willing to have some connection issues in the event that you have a heavily treed area or don't have a view of wherever one of those low orbit satellites are, yeah, I mean, I think it's a phenomenal product. I think it's very, 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 very close. For us, this gave me more confidence. Will we add Starlink at some point? I don't know. But we'll definitely make a video about it if we do. Like I said before, if you have any questions, please let us know. We'd be happy to answer them. I know more about this than I would care to admit, whether it's install, data itself, any of those things. If you want my opinion, ask away. Like I said, I will link everything from Mobile Must Have. I also got to say their customer service was phenomenal. I was on the fence between 2 or 3 different things, shot them an email. Someone called me within a few hours and very, very simply just kind of said, this is my suggestion based on what you're saying. XYZ actually ended up saving some money. They didn't put me in the most expensive thing. Was mine expensive? Yeah, it was a little pricey. Is $150 a lot to pay for a cell plan? It is, but at 800 gigs unthrottled, for me, it's worth it. Is it worth it for you is the question. Thank you so much. I know my mom didn't watch this one. She doesn't care about internet, so I appreciate if you watched it, but just in case she did, we'll see you next Sunday. Bye, Mom.
Now my wheels in motion and my